YouTube. What is good? It's your boy Peptalk. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about topics to elevate your spiritual, intellectual, and physical growth whilst spreading knowledge, love, and positivity on the regular. Let's get straight into it. My apologies for being absent over the last few days. I'm trying to sort out a new place to live, and I'm also trying to sort out a new job, so things have been quite crazy. However, I have got an absolute banger for you guys, and it is a story time. Story time is how I lost my masculine frame and how I lost my purpose over a female. Very, very interesting situation that I got myself into. I want to give you a little bit of a background first of all. Background is that I had a very toxic relationship about 7, 8 years ago, and I've been single for that time. I've obviously dated casually from time to time, but I also haven't, in some ways, put any focus towards females because I've been practicing semen retention quite often and just going about my purpose and trying to set my life up first before settling down with a female. So, what happened is that very unexpectedly, I got myself into a situation over the last couple of months where I met her unexpectedly. And it's funny because we'd spent the day together because we were at some sort of event next to where she was. And we got to know myself and my friends got to know her. And she's lovely. She's a very nice girl. She ticks a lot of boxes for me personally of what I would look for a partner. And she's compassionate and very understanding. However, there was still quite a lot of red flags and I chose to overlook them. Key point, I chose to overlook clear red flags. Mistake number one. After we parted ways, I didn't actually have intention of hitting her up. I thought she was very attractive, but at the same time, because at that time I was still in a logical state, I realized that is it really a good idea for me to get myself in that situation? It's like my intuition was telling me, just be careful before you do anything with this girl and just make sure that she's going to be the right person that will elevate you physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And like I said, I ignored the red flags and we met up. And then over time, we started speaking more. She was putting a lot of energy in at the beginning towards me and towards what we were building. What happened then? What happened then is that I got attached to the idea of us being something and I lost my purpose. I lost my masculine frame and I was letting her control my emotions. This isn't her being manipulative. This isn't her doing this purposely. This is me not being in control of my own emotions and putting a female before your life purpose and your life goals. Don't do it. Trust me and learn from me. Don't do it. Okay? The reason why I make these videos is not just to give you pep talks, more or less, but it's for you to learn from my mistakes. And I really want everyone listening to this video to learn from my mistakes. I completely lost sight on what I was doing. I was spending more time talking with her and seeing her than anything else. I wasn't sleeping as well because I was staying up later to speak to her, even though I had work quite early in the morning. And I was constantly getting anxious because in my head, I had created this idea of us being together in a relationship because she ticked a lot of boxes. And like I said, I'd been single for 6, 7 years. And I thought, well, we're in this situation now where I actually have found someone that ticks a lot of boxes. Although I did mention she had a lot of red flags. Just remember mistake number one, I ignored them. But I got attached to the idea of being with her. And when you attach yourself to a concept or a person or an idea, you essentially lose sight of your own vision. Your emotions are clouded because rather than thinking on a logical standpoint, you're thinking more so of a hopeful standpoint. You're hoping that something works out. You're hoping that the red flags that you see will change. You're hoping that you can be a better person for the other person so they can see the same value in you that you see in them. And what happens is that you lose complete sense of reality, and you just get stuck in a bubble of uncertainty and a bubble of emotion. Emotions isn't a bad thing. Emotions is a natural part of life. It's how you channel those emotions. But I wasn't channeling them correctly because I wasn't focusing on my purpose. I put someone else before my own needs. And that is mistake number two. Never let someone else dictate your emotions, and never put yourself second to a female. If there is any females watching this as well, it goes both ways. Do not let a male, for example, or a guy that you're seeing dictate your emotions, and don't put him first over yourself, because at the end of the day, that person could walk out of your life tomorrow. That person might be living in the moment, living in the emotion. And then ultimately, what will happen is that they may think for a couple of weeks, oh, I really like this person. And then eventually, they'll just get over it. And then you've created this idea of a reality in your head that you wanted to be with that person. So once that person walks out of your life, or once you realize they're not reciprocating the same energy that you're giving them, you will be upset, and you will feel down, and you'll feel low on confidence, and it will put you at a lower vibration. That's what's happened to me. And I want everyone to learn from the mistakes that I've made. Because, like I said, I was spending a lot of time with this person. I was opening up too much to this person. You got to be very careful who you open up with, and who you share some of your more private details about yourself and information about yourself with. And I did that. And that's because I lost frame. I lost masculine frame. I became living in my emotional state, not a logical state. And here I am, a few weeks later, coming to grips with what's just happened. It almost feels like a blur. It feels like the last couple of months has happened, but it's like I haven't fully been living in the present moment. And why haven't I been living in the present moment is because I've been attached to the future, a future concept of myself and this person being together. And like I've said in previous videos, what happens when you don't live in the present moment is that you are not aligned, you are not centered, and ultimately you're not doing any favors for your future, because you're not doing everything in your power in the present, which will ultimately affect your future. You need to put yourself first. You need to put your purpose before anyone else, particularly if you're in a romantic relationship with someone, or you're starting to see someone and it's the early stages. I want you to learn from my mistakes. Please keep your emotions in check. Do not commit too much early on. Do not create, most importantly, do not create an idea in your head about being with this person. Because when you create expectations for something, ultimately what happens is that you will get disappointed, because your expectations for something is very likely not going to be exactly the same as the other person, unless you're in a committed long-term relationship. And even then, over time, their ideas about something and expectations about something will change. So communication is important, but particularly when you've just met someone, please don't lose your frame. And let me tell everybody this. I've been learning about this, masculinity and female nature, and just generally relationships. I've been interested in reading about it for some time. And I always thought to myself, if I ever got into this situation, I would be able to control myself with no problem, and I would be able to handle this with no problem. But really, what happened is that because this person was attractive and ticked so many boxes, I fell off. I fell off, and I just got lost in my own emotions, and I wasn't thinking logically at all. So just remember this: you can watch all the videos you want, you can read all the books you want, but ultimately your biggest test, like, none of that will prepare you for a person coming into your life that will kind of throw you off center. Really important to stay on your purpose and centered at all times. And really important not to put anyone else before yourself. And very important to live in the present moment. Don't attach to the idea of being with that person, and just relaxing and letting things happen day by day. I'm not saying cut anyone off. I'm not saying don't see people. What I'm saying is that keep your emotions in check and always put yourself first before the other person. Thank you for listening to my video, guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one.